Hello, superstars. I'm super excited for this week's energy update. We've got a few things to talk about this week. One is the residual effects of that full moon in Scorpio. And this week is all about really up leveling. It's all about optimism and also passing the test. So, usually after holidays like a Mother's Day, those can pull up a lot of emotions for people, good and bad. And so you either really played into those emotions, being used by those emotions and being pulled down, or you have literally transcended and gone to the next level. Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. So each week we come together to know the truth, live on spiritual principle, and align with universal law. We know that when somebody awakens, they really birth their soul's purpose, and together we are awakening the world. So today I want to go over a few things. One is the energy update, really some channeled messages, and what are channeled messages, okay? Secondly is the call-in question. We have many call-in questions during the week, but we choose one that we feel like resonates with a lot of you guys with spiritual guidance backed by universal law. I never give my opinion on any of it. I really just speak from a universal law truth. And then also we're doing the universal law teaching of the week. This week is the universal law of allowing. Yep, got to master that one. It's been a tough road to get there, let me tell you. Okay, so let's dive into this right now. So number one, I want to say that today is it's an important day. Your life at this point in time is getting magnified by technology, magnified by just the energetics of the earth. And you're not here to just become the effect of that. You're here to advance from that. You're here to evolve consciousness. Okay. So I wanted to say that on this show, on the podcast, we talk about channeled messages. You'll see this a lot through different teachers across the internet, if you will. And I want to define what is a channeled message versus a prophetic message, okay, which is very, very, very different. A channeled message is just truth, okay? So sometimes you'll listen to a channel and you're like, what's so profound about that, right? Well, if you're evolved in consciousness, channeled messages should already be knowings within you. Channeled message means that you've done enough of your subconscious work, or that you just are naturally gifted to really be a channel for truth, because there's ultimate truth in the universe and there's relative truths. And for majority of the masses, they live in a very relative world of this is my opinion and this is the way it is. And it's all about indoctrination and opinions, which is not coming from the true truth, which is our oneness. And channeled messages are really here to help you remember the truth of who you are. So when I say I'm a spiritual channel, right, it's nothing so woo-woo like, oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate, I'm better than you. No, everyone is born to be a channel. Everyone is born to be someone who lives truth, to have streaming through their consciousness, right? A prophecy is very different. A prophecy is when you actually know and can predict the future, okay? And from a perspective of ultimate truth of the evolution of the species, there are prophetic times and timelines, if you will, because we expand consciousness, and therefore there's just certain things that will happen. But the truth is that there's very few people that can prophesize specific incidences that will happen. In fact, there's nobody that has prophesized exactly, okay? Because you can't prophesize divine timing, okay? You can predict things that will happen, but you can never predict the exact divine timing. Not even the greatest prophets set a specific date. Otherwise, it would say that in all the great texts, okay? So I want to say this not to, judge anyone, but rather to have the truth that you too are a channel if you choose to be, to awaken that ability within yourself. You too can prophesize from the perspective of what happens when the timelines, advance, and prophesize at some level. But there's very few people that can really truly prophesize. Same with anything like psychic work. There's probably some very incredible, amazing psychics, and there's a ton of really terrible ones. Okay. So it's not that we don't believe in this stuff, it's that we want to debunk it and have you become the oracle, have you become the channeler, have you become the person that can become your own psychic, that you become your own guru. Okay. So that's what we come here to do each week, is just to remember. We come here to remember, we come here to live on spiritual truth and to align with universal law, because universal law teaches us exactly how the dynamics of life works. So whether it be in your relationships or your health or your money or your spiritual purpose, you just have to learn spiritual law. In fact, even astrology is very important because we're one with the stars. But the truth is, the principles are applied no matter what's happening in astrology. Okay. So let's dive into it. Okay. So energy update this week, I'm calling it the spiritual game, or the masterclass of life, because this week, as there was Mother's Day, as there's all, holidays come with a lot of stuff. And what I realized was I was not with my son. He was on a trip, so there was no choice to be with him. But I realized I had no suffering, which is very much the younger version of myself would have had a pity party if I wasn't where I wanted to be on whatever holiday, right? Very egotistical in a way. And I really realized how evolved I have come in my consciousness. And I have that also from my clients all week, people grappling with stuff around holidays, people having, stuff, issues with their mother, and really looking at what does it mean when you're actually looking at this thing called the game of life. I just made a post about this on Instagram. You can go over and check it out under my handle, Erin Haskell, or under Society as well. You can find, and I'd love to be your friend and follow each other on there. Okay. So the post was really about how life is a masterclass. It's a spiritual game. Okay. So I like to look at it like it's almost like you're in a video game. Okay. And you come into this life, and whether you've been dealt a really awful hand or a good hand, whatever, it can be kind of fun. As children, we're kind of naive and blissful as children in general. And then as we kind of evolve in this game of life, it gets really challenging. Some people, we deal with addiction. Sometimes it's dysfunction, whatever it is. Usually, in your teens or 20s, you're dealing with deep karma things. It's like a spiritual game. It's like a video game, and you deal with these obstacles, these barriers, whatever, and then all of a sudden you finally pass that level. And as it goes ding, 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 right, it's like it all of a sudden you went to the next level, and then you get to the next level, and it's more fun. It's got more joy, but also harder things. I like to call this era like the adulting phase, right? You start paying bills, you start doing things. It's not easy, but you have more freedom, right? And you're going the cycle. And sometimes you have these negative patterns over and over and over again. And then what happens? Ding, 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 ding. And all of a sudden you've gone to the next level of this video game called life. And then what happens next? I like to call it the leadership chapter of the video game, where it becomes really fulfilling, but you also like have even bigger challenges and bigger things that you got to deal with because you're being developed, right? So finally you get to the end, and you give up and you stop playing the video game, or you get determined and you pass that level. Okay. So this week was all about, did you pass the test? Did you pass the level of the spiritual video game of the thing called the life as a masterclass? And if you did, you're probably experiencing almost like a new timeline, like, whoa, there's this new victory. Who am I? I'm actually able to do this. Or you went to the other side and you're now in the residuals of this last, full moon in Scorpio, and it's stinging, right? It's stinging. You cannot deny it anymore. Okay. So that's kind of what's going on there energetically. My gift energetically is I tap into the collective. I easily can tap into past life, even when I'm just in someone's consciousness. I can tap into their identity that's projecting out. So you could call me intuitive, you can call it whatever it may be. There's many labels, but I just know. I have a knowing around all of it. And so I try and bring some of that more of the collective stuff here. And I absolutely, obviously, I'm very trained as a doctor of divinity and have developed myself over 20 years, 15, 20 years of working with clients to understand what's happening in consciousness. Okay. So we want to know this. And astrologically, there's different things like May 13, which is this coming up, moon enters Sagittarius. This is all about really optimism and expansion. And I am feeling it so much right now. I literally just feel like this. I feel like I'm just in this kind of a more of a flow state for sure for myself. And I can't say that for everyone else. So it's really, the astrology is very unique for each individual, where they are in their own chart and where they are in the collective as well. So it really depends on where you are specifically with your chart and with what's happening with all that. But we have the full moon enter Sagittarius on the 13th, and we have on the 17th the Sun conjunct Uranus in Taurus. So what does that mean? That means breakthroughs, probably in, of course, your identity, because identity creates everything, probably maybe even finances and values. Okay. So really, what is your breakthrough around this of who you are? And it's really important to get our finances in order. I know personally we're going to the next level with within the school and in the certifications and our membership. And I'm actually super excited. I feel super like we're going to the next level with everything. Okay. So next segment of this show, because we kind of break it up, because I want to kind of have an overview of a bunch of different things that happen in here. So this is one of my favorite parts of the podcast. I've done some live call-ins. We're also trying it out where people are sending in questions. And so we want your feedback. We're going to begin to do a live podcast as well. If you're in the school or in the membership, then you're actually going to be able to come onto a live podcast and get called up for hot seats, call-ins, and all that good stuff. Okay. But this question of the week comes in from Marcus from Brooklyn, New York. And he says he's a conscious entrepreneur navigating family boundaries and personal expansion. Okay. It's like of a lot of us, we have these issues that come along with us. Okay. So he says, I've recently gone through a spiritual awakening and I have made some big changes in my life and lifestyle. I no longer drink, I meditate daily, and I'm much more protective of my energy. The challenge is my family doesn't understand. Every time I visit, they make jokes about me and being too spiritual or accuse me of thinking that I'm better than them. I love them, but I leave feeling drained and disconnected. How do I keep evolving without pushing them away or feeling like I'm betrayed? I betrayed my roots. Whew, that's a big one. That's a big one, Marcus. I like your name, by the way. Also, it's like Marcus Aurelius. You must be a leader. Okay, so really, let's actually look at this through the law of the week, which is the law of allowing. And if you guys don't already have the calendar, you can download the Universal Law Calendar. It's free. And every week you will receive a universal law distinction. There's only one universal law. It's the law of oneness, the law of cause and effect, but there's many distinctions and we go over distinction every week here. Okay. So it's the law of allowing. So let's answer this for Marcus from the law of allowing distinction. So, this is an interesting thing because we can pick our friends, and sometimes as we evolve, our friendships evolve. But family is kind of like the master class, back to the game of life and the master class of life. We are dealt a particular hand of family. And so it's really important to know that we're probably not going to feel right if we disown our family or push them away. So you're completely online here, Marcus. So how do you actually deal with this? Okay. So they're actually your teachers right now, right? They're teaching you, man, you need to learn how to love unconditionally. Man, you need to learn how to not, place your power over to them. Man, you need to, learn how to develop your sovereign being and celebrate them unconditionally and build on what is positively there. So first of all, just giving gratitude to the situation, acknowledging that it's working for you and not against you is the number one thing, to just really get there. It's for a lot of people, they'll try and talk about it and make somebody see it their way. And that really generally never works. That's why people are usually in therapy for years. It does work sometimes, but most of the time it will actually exaggerate the problem because you're focusing on the problem, right? So it's really about you and your higher self and becoming the master that you're born to be, Marcus. Okay. So you're doing exactly right, which is asking for help. Okay. So the deeper truth is you're not here to force anyone. You're not here to force anyone, as we know. You're not here to change anyone. You're not here to judge anyone. You're here to develop your own consciousness. So through the universal law of allowing, these are the things we want to do. So instead of defending your path, right? Allow them to hold their perspective. So I always think of it like whenever you're around somebody, especially family that you don't necessarily, vibe with, it's a great time to practice mastering the mind, right? Practice allowing them to have their perspective. When they make a joke at you, go, wow, you don't have to change. You don't have to dim your light. You don't have to not be your truth. You can just acknowledge, I totally hear you in that. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Just acknowledge. Tell me more, get curious. So tell me more why that seems fascinating or why you feel whatever, or why you said that. Tell me more. I want to understand, right? It's becoming curious, but also allowing and just not wanting them to be different than they are. Become curious. Don't force your viewpoint upon them, because then they will probably resist it. And we don't want to take away their viewpoint, because people's viewpoints is like the rug. And if you pull it out from under them, they're going to not be happy. They're going to have, it might really shake up their world. Okay. So instead of disconnecting emotionally, you want to actually set energetic boundaries, but also honor them. And then get committed to, what are you actually committed to creating with your family? Maybe you do still like hiking, or maybe you still like cooking meals together, but you don't vibe on some of the areas. Then focus on what you do like, and release the things that are kind of being combative or just aren't vibing together. Okay. And then basically, instead of shrinking to make them comfortable, remain grounded in your truth and show them what unconditional respect looks like. And you can stand up for yourself, right? Like, I respect your viewpoint. However, this is mine. And I would love it if we just focus on what we do, agree on, which is we love cooking or hiking or whatever it is. Let's do that. We may not see eye to eye, and that's okay. I don't need you to do what I do. But the truth is, and not that you would say this to them, Marcus, is that everything's spiritual. Everything's come from spirit. So they are spirit, they are spiritual. They might just not understand what that means. And so when people don't understand things, they generally will push it away, make it wrong or whatever, because they don't understand it. So just understand with compassion that they may just not understand at this point in time, and just allow that masterclass. So I'm super excited for you, Marcus. Let's just take a deep breath together. Just going to a spiritual mind treatment for Marcus and his family. I just recognize right here, right now, the truth of their oneness, the truth of whatever is being resisted within Marcus is showing him his own limitations, his own limited belief, his own resistance. And so I say thank you for the situation of his family. I'm knowing great evolution, expanding of Marcus' consciousness, so he's able to handle anything and be able to celebrate and focus on the love that he does have for his family. I'm knowing healing. I'm knowing thriving family. I simply know this, as together we say, and so it is. Okay. So thank you so much for asking that. I think that there's so many people that can relate, and just knowing that this is not something that's blocking you. It's actually an initiation. You're being initiated, Marcus. You're being initiated into the next version of yourself, the higher consciousness, the master, the teacher. And you may be the teacher in that family. They're your teacher until you resist it. You become the teacher when you rise above it. Okay. So, and then finally, just the universal law of the week again is a law of allowing. And this law is all about, letting go. Really, truly allowing, because whatever we resist persists. Whatever we are trying to fix, force, or make different, it's not going to work. Getting into that law of allowing, accepting people, places exactly as they are, and really getting into the flow of life, accepting the miracles. You're either not accepting something, or you're receptive to the miracles, and know that everything comes from within. We don't get anything from the external world. We don't get anything from anybody. We get everything from source within, and we become that, and we become the mental equivalent to have that vibrational match in the physical form. Okay. So on that note, you guys, I'm just knowing a divine week. I know every week we come together, and if you want more support, you really truly want community to support and get your mind right every single day. Number one, you can go and grab the calendar below. You can also grab the coach session planner. You can also come into our community and begin to have support and understand universal law, spiritual psychology coaching, and of course, E4 method. So you can click the links below. I would love to take a further journey with you guys. Share out this podcast, share out this show, whether you are on whatever platform. Get your friends together, get your mind right, play this game of universal law every week, play the game of spiritual psychology coaching, mastering coaching, so that no matter what happens, you know exactly how to come back to truth and embody the highest version of yourself. You become the channel, you become the prophetic being that you were born to be. You become the oracle, you become the master, you become the teacher. This is your masterclass. This is the spiritual game. Okay, you guys have a beautiful, blessed day, and may you live the truth.